Is it good? Am I streaming? Is it live now? Can you see it? No? Hello, anybody who's actually here. This is always the most awkward part. People are going to show up. We have to have a video going for people to be able to find it. So I'm going to grab ingredients. Okay. So I don't even know how to tell if anybody is on here. 5 people, 4 people watching. Hello, anybody watching? So to get started with the bath bomb class, I'm going to go through what you need to make the bath bombs. A lot of people in the ward bought a kit, and in the kit we have baking soda, we have citric acid, we have Epsom salt, cornstarch, coconut oil, which I have in here, essential oils or fragrance oils, and a colorant, mica. Do we need to, will you tip this up just a little bit so you can see like my head? Just push it back. Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah. Thanks for helping me. I helped Megan on the last video, and she's here helping me for this video. So hopefully.
Is that too far?
I don't know.
Maybe just down.
Maybe down a little.
Tiny.
Is that good? Okay. Anyway, so those of you at home, you will need. I can't see my face.
We're working on it.
Cool. No, that's good.
Okay.
That seems good. Look,
Okay.
You can see the stuff and you can see me.
We got it now.
Okay. So, sisters at home, the things that you're going to need to get started, if you have a kit, you've got everything you need except for either some water. I just have a bowl of water. Or you can use rubbing alcohol. You will want water, but you can also use rubbing alcohol or witch hazel, whatever you have on hand. So the dry ingredients. I just have to say, this makes me feel so awkward. So I'm like, okay.
Kim's is you're looking at.
Thanks, Kim. So you're going to want a pretty sizable mixing bowl, because I gave you guys ingredients to make 6 bath bombs little, and you need to have room to mix it around. So should I just get started, or should we wait a minute? Does anybody have any questions before we get started? How many? 10 people watching? I just don't know how long we should wait. Should I just get going?
Yeah, because it's recorded.
Okay, it's recorded. People can see it later. So if you have one of these at home, a little mesh strainer, they're nifty, because the first step is get all the ingredients in the bowl, and then we have to get rid of clumps. So I have found my happy basic bath bomb mix will have 2 parts of baking soda to 1 part citric acid. You can put in more citric acid, but citric acid is kind of expensive. It's like the most expensive ingredient in all of this. So I will do 2 cups of baking soda. So if you have a kit, pour in your baking soda. And then 1 cup of citric acid. So if you add more citric acid, it's going to dissolve in your bath a whole lot faster. So this is a really good 2 parts to 1 part is really good, because it still bubbles and floats, but it's not going to like go and be gone in like 30 seconds. It lets you enjoy it a little bit longer than that. But if you do too much less than that, I have tried it with less when I was running low, and it works fine, but it fizzles slowly, and you don't get quite as satisfying of the explosion from the bomb. Yeah. So if you got a kit, it's pre-measured, dump it in. And you're going to want a whisk, and you're going to want a spoon. And let's see, you've got your molds. You're going to want some kind of a tray to set stuff on. So let me show you. I have a little cookie sheet, and I just have a piece of parchment paper on it. You can use just a plain cookie sheet. I just am lazy and don't like to wash them. So I have parchment to set it on. Or you can do a muffin tin, and I have put saran wrap on top of the muffin tin so that when you make the bath bomb, let me grab the bath bomb. So when you pop it out of the mold, you can set it flat on the cookie sheet, which is just fine, but it will result in a slightly flattened bottom. So if that doesn't bug you at all, this is great. I'm picky, so I like to cover my muffin tin in saran wrap so that when I put it out of the mold, it has like a little hammock, a little cradle, so that it keeps its round shape. And yeah, so a muffin tin with saran wrap is my favorite. It's just a little trick I've picked up with time. So I've got baking soda and citric acid. Get your whisk, or spoon whisks are better. So do you see how there's big clumps here? Hold it in front of the black shirt. Big clumps in the baking soda. You really don't want the clumps. So I'm actually going to get my fingers in here. So if you're making them for yourself, fingers in the bath bomb mixture is no big deal. If you're making them for other people, or you have a fancy manicure on, you're going to want latex gloves or rubber gloves, because the citric acid and the baking soda will eat away at your nail polish. So like if you have your nails painted, get gloves on. I don't, so I don't care. And I'm making them for me and my kids, so once again, I don't care. So whisk it around, and you can also get your hands there. I like to put one hand on top of the other and push, and then it gets rid of any lumps. So manhandle your bath bomb mixture. Because if you leave the clumps, it tends to attract water to just that spot. And your bath bomb might sit and react while it's drying because it found a clump of baking soda for the water to get into, and then your whole bath bomb sits and fizzes before you even get it in a tub. So we don't want clumps. Clumps are our enemy. So if you have one of these, this makes it super easy. Because then any little things that are left, just push it through. So you can use your fingers, use a whisk, or that strainer. And this is feeling, it's pretty smooth now. I'm not seeing clumps anymore. So I don't know how long it's going to take you, but get rid of any clumps. And then the next ingredient is a hardener. We use cornstarch literally just to help solidify it and harden it. So for the 2 parts baking soda and 1 part citric acid, I do 1/2 of cornstarch. So got a 1/2 cup.
Also the cornstarch. Slow down just a hair.
Yes, I can slow down. So 1/2 cup cornstarch to 2 cups baking soda. You can put less, you can put more. It's just in there to help harden the bath bomb. Other things that you can use to harden the bath bombs that are more expensive than cornstarch are clays. This is kaolin clay. And when you use it in like soaps and shaving cream, it helps things be silky and glide really smooth across your skin. And so it does a little bit of that with bath bombs, but it also retains fragrance. So the cornstarch also will help hold your fragrance oil in so that the fragrance doesn't all disappear before you get it in your tub. So you can also use clay online. There's actually a soap store up in North Denver. It's like an hour away from here, called Mile High Soap, and we get a lot of things from Mile High Soap. Or this one we ordered from Nature's Garden Candles. Sometimes we get stuff from Brambleberry. Sometimes you can find things at Hobby Lobby, but I haven't found Kale and Clay. So then mix your cornstarch in with your whisk. The cornstarch shouldn't be clumpy. So for those who've just joined, we've got baking soda and citric acid and cornstarch in a bowl, and we're making sure that it's thoroughly mixed together and that there are no clumps or lumps. So if you guys have any questions, write it down, and Megan Swenson is here with me, and she will let me know what the questions are. So just making sure it's thoroughly mixed. And you do have to be careful. Can you see all this powder? You do have to be a little bit careful sometimes. There's another.
Maybe now we're black.
Well, yeah, I didn't think that through.
You look great.
We're going to have all kinds of spots at the end. So the last thing that we have in our kit is Epsom salt. And this is up to you how much you want to add. But once again, I like to put in like a half part.
Is it important to get like a non-scented Epsom
No,
salt?
if you like the scent of the Epsom salt, put it in. I get this plain one from Sam's Club because I can get 2 of these, so 14 pounds for like $9. And that's cheaper than I can find the pretty scented things. I do have the pretty scented ones, but this I can put in any fragrance bath bomb, and it's cheap. So the Epsom salt tends to have clumps too.
Mandy would like to know if you'll post the recipe after you're done.
Yes, I can post the recipe. But there you go. 2 cups baking soda, 1 cup citric acid, 1/2 cup cornstarch, 1/2 cup Epsom salt. So I'm going to sprinkle this in. That was a clump. I'm just going to break it. And another clump. So I'm just going to break it. This is really hands-on. And I kind of love that aspect of it. Because with the bath bombs, you're going to have to feel it to make sure that it's the right texture. So it's kind of like the grown-up version of playing with sand. The really powdery, fluffy version of sand. So mix in your Epsom salts. And with Epsom salts, they have nice skin-loving properties, but you don't want too much in here because they also absorb moisture. So if you have too much Epsom salt in here, it will unevenly, once again, it can make your bath bomb react before you get it anywhere near a tub. So and make sure that's mixed. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is add oils. Those of you who have a kit have coconut oil. You're going to want to melt it. I don't know if melting it in those little plastic containers is a good idea, so maybe find...
Why coconut oil? Like
why coconut oil? So you can do tons of different oils. And I love coconut oil because it helps it harden because at room temperature it's kind of hard, but it's affordable. And it's buoyant. So I've made lots of bath bombs, lots and lots of bath bombs. And if you use the heavier oils, you can use liquid too. So I also really like castor oil. Castor oil is great. And vitamin E oil. I really like to put vitamin E oil in the bath bombs. You can add any kind of oils that you want, really. But just be prepared. Some oils are heavy. So I have made them using olive oil before because olive oil is good for your skin, right? It just sunk like a brick. So yeah. So that's why I like coconut for the base oil. Usually if I make a fancy one, I'm teaching you guys just like the basic. I will do coconut oil and then a little bit of vitamin E or a little bit of castor, or the other really good one is jojoba oil or argan oil. But once again, all of these are a lot more expensive than coconut oil. So if you just want the basics, go with coconut. So I'm just going to pop it in the microwave for like 30 seconds. And you're going to want about a tablespoon. this is the part where, this is the most important part, getting the right texture. Because you'll hear lots of things that say like wet sand, but there's a whole lot of different levels of wet sand. So the first oil we're going to put in is the fragrance oil, because we want to make sure that we can get all of the fragrance oil in and not run out of space for oil. So I'm going to talk to you guys about oils too and fragrances. There are tons of different ways that you can fragrance these. I really like essential oils. These ones are sun essential oils because they're cheap on Amazon. It's like $9 to $10 for 4 ounces. And the first time we made these, I used doTERRA oils, and that was not a good choice because each of the little vials that are in the kit have 3 to 3.5 milliliters of oil. And how much is a 5 milliliter thing of doTERRA oil? It used almost the entire thing. So they were very expensive bath bombs. So I really like Sun essential oils or Now essential oils on Amazon for cheap essential oils. Or Hobby Lobby, if you don't care about it being like all natural, you can get fragrance oils. And they have some really good smells that aren't, an essential oil. So this is one of the ones from Hobby Lobby, Soap Expressions. This is like, I think it's around $4.
And do you find it in their soap making section?
Yes, Hobby Lobby has a soap making section. And so this is 1 ounce. You can make multiple sets of bath bombs with this little thing. And they have tons of different fragrances. But my husband requested lavender, so tonight we're going to make lavender. And I have droppers. So I found that 3 milliliters provides a really nice, strong fragrance. And I like it to smell good. Like, I feel like the whole point of this is you want to relax in the tub and have it smell really yummy. So if you don't have a pipette, it's about 2 teaspoons. So I'm going to squirt that in first. And because it's an oil, it's not going to react with the mixture. I feel like, should we bring this closer somehow? Or should I bring it closer so people can see this? I don't know. How should we do this? Here.
Trying to see.
So can you see where the oils are? Can you see those lines? And I'm just going to, it clumped up. I have to admit, every time I see that, it reminds me of kitty litter. So I'm going to mix the oils in, and I don't know if you can see, the oil's clumped up just a little bit. So that's like a little bead of fragrance oil. So once again.
In the bath bomb kits, we put the whole jar in?
Yes, put the whole jar in. I measured out the 3 milliliters for you guys. So you can just pour it all in. So once again, I'm going to get my hands in there and rub it and squish it and get rid of those little beads of fragrance oil and mix it in a little bit better. So we're playing in sand. Oh, it smells really good.
No, I can say it smells nice.
Do you need a bowl? I'm going to get the coconut oil out now, too. Whoa. Okay. So 30 seconds.
To know, is it okay, like, if kids are helping, is it okay
Yes.
for them to touch it?
My kids help all the time. All the time. So technically, everything that we're putting in here, except for the Epsom salt, is edible. It doesn't taste good, but it's edible. You just don't want them to get it in their eyes. That's the big thing. Don't let them touch their eyes. But my kids help me all the time and make an even bigger mess than I do. So now that we've got the fragrance oil in, I like to start with a tablespoon of coconut oil. I've just found that tends to be a good starting point. So I'm taking a tablespoon of the melted coconut oil. I'm going to spread it around. Use the whisk. And it's going to beat it up again. So we're going to have little tiny droplets of coconut oil in there. And don't ignore the sides, because I don't know if you can see, but little droplets of fragrance oil and coconut oil are sticking to the sides, so you want to get that down too. So now that I have it roughly mixed with the whisk, I'm going to get my hands in again and just get rid of those little blobs. Blobs of liquid and blobs of oil are your worst enemy with the bath bombs. So like I said before, I like to put some mixture on my hand and slide it across. It's a really good way to get rid of those clumps. And as you can see, it's already, when I squish it, it's already starting to stick together. So we're halfway there. We need to get to the point that it sticks together completely without any powder falling off. So I might put in just a little bit more, like another third of a tablespoon. And how much liquid you put in depends on the day and the time. And is it rainy outside, or have you just done dishes? Because there's not a set fast.
Like baking.
Yeah, like baking. Because this is how much liquid do we need to put into these dry ingredients to reach the right consistency. So it's really by feel. So I'm mixing the extra coconut oil in again. And I am going to teach you guys a technique. You can choose to make your bath bomb all one color. Here, let me grab a bath bomb. So this one is all one color. It's all soft pink. So if I'm not going to have you color it yet, because I'm also going to teach you how to make one with stripes, with colored layers. So we're going to reserve our colorant, our mica, to the end. So now that you've got your fragrance oil and your coconut oil mixed in, this is when, if you have rubbing alcohol, or that was the witch hazel. If you have rubbing alcohol or witch hazel, you're going to want about a teaspoon of it right now. But when you add this is the tricky part, because things with water in them react to the bath bomb mixture. So I'm going to get a teaspoon and get a teaspoon of rubbing alcohol. I like rubbing alcohol because it dries fast, dries super fast. Witch hazel is good for your skin, but the rubbing alcohol also reacts less than witch hazel or water. So I'm going to get a teaspoon of the rubbing alcohol, and do not just pour this in like I poured in the coconut oil. So get your whisk ready. Get ready to be able to stir. So I like to start stirring before, and then pour it in slowly while stirring quickly, so that you don't let it fizz up, bubble up, and react in the bowl. And if you put in rubbing alcohol, just know that it will change the scent for a minute because it's got such a strong smell. But once your bath bomb's dry and that evaporates, you will not have that smell anymore.
Kim says.
Or use water. If you don't have rubbing alcohol or witch hazel, you can use just water. So I'm about to add water now. I just like to have a little bit of the rubbing alcohol because then the bath bombs stick together well without getting too wet, because the main enemy of bath bombs is being too wet. So I'm going to show you guys right now. If you look at it, it clumps, right? It's clumping, but it's not completely together. So if you try to mold a bath bomb at this point, it will form a lovely little dome, but it won't hold together in the middle. So if your bath bomb won't stick together in the middle, it's too dry and you need to add more liquid. So now I'm going to get, this is just a little cup of water. There we go. So I'm going to get my whisk ready again, so you can be stirring. Get my teaspoon of water and stir it quick. Should we show how it reacts if you don't go fast? Here. So I'm going to pull some mixture and put it in here. Maybe you don't want a ton of mixture. So, can you see that?
Yes.
So this is what happens if you pour the water in and you don't stir it. Can you see the bath bomb bubbling up and fizzing and reacting?
Yes.
So you don't want it to do that because then guess what? That's done. And it will not react again when it's in the water. So that's why we have our handy dandy whisk. Let me move this closer and I'm going to put in 1 more teaspoon. And I pour it in slowly.
I have a feeling I would mess up.
And then once again, I'm getting my hands in here, getting my fingers in here. And look at this. It's clumping even more. Look at that side. But that's still falling apart. So how do I explain this texture? So it should be wet, but when it hits the right consistency, you'll start to feel it feel just a little gummy. Does that make sense? Like instead of dry and powdery, when you squish it together, it will feel just a little bit gooey and just a little bit gummy. But you do not want to get it too wet or it will sit and explode and not be usable. So the tricky thing here is getting the right consistency. So don't add too much water. Once you get 2 teaspoons in, really mix it around with your fingers and your hands and the whisk because there's a lot of dry ingredients for it to get through. So you really have to mix it in before you decide if you want to add more. And remember, a good way to test is to get out your mold. Fill one side, fill the other side, and push together. And now, as it won't stick together in the middle, so it's not wet enough. Then just mix that back in. So I'm going to put in 1 more teaspoon of water. You can always add more liquid, but you can't take the liquid out. So getting it too wet is really your worst enemy. So I'm going to get stirring again. To hold this above. Wrong hands. I'm not left-handed. So also, as it gets to the right consistency, it will be harder to stir because as you stir, you're going to have all of these little clumps start to form. So another teaspoon of water. And just FYI, it is really hard to keep clean with this activity. My counters are always messy after. So I'm just get this back again. Oh, there, okay. Now, so you can tell it's done when you can form a ball, hold it, and it stays. So I think I need a little bit more water because I can't hold it without it falling apart. So just gently put water in, mix, 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 try molding it until you get to the right texture. And I don't know how many teaspoons that is going to be, but so far for me, this is what, teaspoon 4? Teaspoon 4. And maybe I should show you this technique. I like to stir, 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 turn, stir, stir, stir. So you make sure you get the stuff off of the sides. You can also do this in a KitchenAid mixer, and I've done that many times. But it's also a lot easier to get it too wet because you're not feeling it as you go. So I'm going to try now, form it. And I can hold it. And it's not completely falling apart. So let's try it with the mold. Super easy way to do this. There we go. I'm going to tip it a little.
Yep.
Super easy way to do this. Let's get the mold and just scoop across the bowl. You'll have extra in the middle and then squeeze it together. And it's a lot easier to get it out if you tap. Look at that. So it stayed together, so it's at the right texture. And I can set this, whoop, maybe not. Let me try this again and let me see if I need more moisture. Let's try this one more time. And having a spoon is really handy to be able to just go and lightly tap it. Nope, look at that. Okay, 1 more teaspoon of water or rubbing alcohol or coconut oil. 1 more. You know what? Maybe I'll put a little bit more coconut oil in because I feel like there's a lot of water. So I'm going to get the equivalent of a teaspoon coconut oil. Sorry. You know what? And I'm going to do a 1/2 teaspoon of water. Here we go. So if you have these guys, one way that you can tell that the mixture is ready is if it starts to get a little bit sticky on the gloves. Like I said before, it starts to feel a little bit sticky and a little bit gummy. But I want to make sure it is thoroughly mixed before I add more.
But if it does get too sticky and gummy, it's
Add baking soda real fast.
Okay.
So if you have extra baking soda at home and it feels too wet, quickly put in a little bit more baking soda. But this is feeling about right. Do you want to feel it? Okay, Megan.
Yeah, it's like wet sand.
Yeah, it's like
A loose wet sand.
If you've ever played with kinetic sand, it feels like kinetic sand, I would say. So I'm going to try this again. See if we're ready. Oh, look, there you go. It is now sticking to my fingers. There you go. Good sign. It's getting a little sticky, but it's not super duper wet. So here we go. Bath bomb mold again. You can scoop them together or you can pile it on and overfill it. You can go like this. It's just trickier than in the bowl. And push them together. You have to make sure that you have more than the mold will fit, or it won't be able to compact and come together correctly. Oh yeah, this feels good. This feels right. I like to take a finger and wipe around the side of the mold just to make sure that it's smooth. You don't have to, but I think it makes it look prettier. And I'm going to take my spoon and do a tap, 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 flip it over and do a tap, tap, tap. And gently peel it off. There we go. There we go. We have a happy, happy round bath bomb that is holding together. So now let me show you how I put it on the cookie sheet. Crazy cookie sheet sling. Not cookie sheet, I'm saying the wrong thing. My muffin tin. Just stick it right in there. Then it will hold it up. And it will stay round all the way around while it's drying. And I would leave it in the pan at least overnight. You're going to want to let it dry before you manhandle it much. And so usually overnight is plenty. So I'm going to, let's see. I'm going to get my little bowl. And if you want to, you can add colorant to all of it or do what I'm about to do. I'm going to take a handful and leave it white. And now the rest of it, take your mica. You guys have it in a little pouch. So let me talk about this for just a second. Sure. There are multiple different things that you can use to color your bath bombs. My favorite is mica. It is not necessarily the cheapest, but it won't color your skin. And it won't stain your tub. that's a big deal. So I bought these lovely little things from Hobby Lobby. That they're soap colorants, bath bomb colorants, but it's like ink, like straight up ink.
So it'll dye your tub.
Yeah, and it dyed my skin. So when I take a relaxing bath, I don't want to come out red or purple or green. So I like the mica colorants because it makes your bath water really beautiful, but it doesn't stick. And if you do get a ring around the tub of it sticking with oils, you can just wipe it, like with a towel or paper towel. Yeah, it just wipes right off. So in your kit, there should be about a half teaspoon of colorant. You can use more, you can use less. I like to have enough so that you can tell what color it is, and so it changes the bath water a little bit. But once again, I don't want to have to do a whole ton of cleaning after the bath, so I do just enough to color it. But my kids like it when it dyes the bath water an intense color. So got the mica in here, and I'm going to mix it. And another thing to know about this is the colors will darken just a little bit as it dries. It'll darken and intensify as it dries. And I'm going to get my hands back in there and rub it around and squish it around. Push my palms together. Okay, now here's the fun layered technique. Yeah, there you go. It is sticking to my fingers. That's how you know it's good. Any questions on there?
Not any so far.
Okay. So I'm going to get my little bath bomb mold. And I like to start and end with the color that I don't have a lot of. So I'm going to get a little pinch of white. And then I'm going to put a little pinch of purple. Then another little pinch of white. And if you don't have a lot, let's come closer. I like to come around the edges. Sprinkle the white around the edges because you're not going to see the middle of the bath bomb from the outside. I'm just going to set this in here. I'm going to do the other side. So I think on this side, I will start with purple. And then do a white ring around this. And then purple again. And here I'm going to pile it on. Then get this one. Pile your main color on. And squish them together. And be careful when you're squeezing these, because if you squeeze too hard, you will crush your mold. Yeah, you don't want to crush it. You want to be able to use this many times. Where's my spoon so I can tap, tap, tap. And flip it and ta-da. And then we have our different colors and our layers. Yeah. So does anybody have any questions before I make a bunch of bath bombs? Or maybe I'll show you one other fun style. Let me get a skewer or a chopstick or a toothpick. Okay. I want to itch my face, but I don't want to use my hands. So for this technique, I'm going to get a little blob of white, maybe not that much. Get some white and then put some purple. That's too much purple. Okay, here. And then I'm going to put my skewer in all the way to the bottom, and I'm going to swirl. Let's see if you can see that on the bottom. I don't know how to hold this so that you can see the bottom. So there's one side.
You can kind of see it right there.
Okay, now the other side, I'm going to do the opposite. So I'm going to put some purple, and then I'm going to sprinkle some white. And then once again, skewer, chopstick, whatever. Poke it all the way down to the bottom. Let me see if we can. And then spin it, twirl it, and then come back to middle. So I twirl all the way up and then twirl back to the middle. And that leaves, I'll just show you when I take it out. It makes a spiral pattern with the colors. And I'm gonna get more purple. And squeeze it together. Then rub my finger around the side so that it's smooth and clean. And you might want to tap it on the seam if it seems stuck. Okay, here, let's see if we can we see this? On my laptop, I see like no color.
Let me try.
Can you see it a little?
I can see it.
Let's take this other one out and see
There
if
you go.
you
You
can
can
see
see
the
it right there.
Can you see the swirl on this side?
Yes.
There you go. A swirl of color. So that's another fun pattern. And if you don't have a bath bomb mold, you guys, you could even like use a measuring cup. Watch this. I'm just going to pack it in with my hand. It's harder to get out, but are you ready? You can make a bath bomb.
Cool.
With a measuring cup. Or a muffin tin. Let me get a muffin tin. There are a lot of silicone bath bomb mold things that you can get. But they are really hard to use because you can't push the material hard up against it.
I was just wondering about silicone molds.
So you can, it's just really tricky because you have to be able to push it in
there to get
and solidify it without messing up the shape of the silicone. It's just really hard to do. So I'm just going to push it in, tamp it down with my hand, and then you've got a bath bomb. So muffin tins really are, if you're fine with this shape, they're super easy. I'm actually going to show you one more thing that most of us don't have around. But has anybody heard of mooncakes? They're an Asian thing. They're an Asian treat, usually filled with bean paste, but it's like a pastry filled with bean paste. And they have these little plastic molds with a design. Can you see the design?
Yes.
Yeah. So, are you ready? I'm going to put a little bit of white. Put some purple.
So where would you, can you order these on Amazon?
Yeah, I got like 6 of them for $10.
Oh, that's not bad.
And then I might need to move my cookie sheet over here to see. Okay. So it's filled. I'm going to put it down flat on the cookie sheet. Let's tip this.
Sorry. It's on a delay so that I'm like always behind.
So I'm going to hold this flat. I don't want this to lift up while I'm pushing this out. And I'm going to plunge it down and then lift it up.
Ooh, look at that one.
Isn't that cool? So look at that pattern. So mooncake molds, super easy and pretty.
Yeah.
So you're going to want to get these molded fairly quickly. Like it's not a super rush, but they're going to slowly dry out for every minute that you spend doing it. So I'm going to do another, put white on this end, put white on this end. We'll put purple in the middle. And so when you fill it, once again, make sure that you overfill it so that you can squish it together. In my early days of bath bomb making, I made the mistake of like pressing it down in the mold. You don't want to pre-press it because then it won't be able to compact with the stuff on this other side. So I'm actually going to take that out now. We'll try this again. So overfill it, but lightly and loosely. Don't actually
press it in.
shove it in. Yeah.
That's good to know because I would have just shoved it in.
So that's why scooping in the bowl actually works out really well because it fills it in,
But it's not super.
but it's
compressed.
not pushed with muscles. So I'm squishing it together, rubbing my finger around the side to get rid of any excess. Tapping, tapping, tapping.
Kim says she was pressing.
Yeah, don't press it into the mold first. That it'll make it really, really difficult for the two sides to stick together. I'm gonna put this in my little sling, my muffin tin sling. So let me show you real quick. These are my favorite bath bomb molds. They are from Hobby Lobby, and it's $3.50 for the set. And they last, they're sturdy. You can just buy like the clear plastic Christmas ornaments. And that's what I started with, but they're thinner and they break more. So the ones that you guys have in the kit are thinner and they break more. Sorry.
I totally thought that's what they were.
But, yeah, right? But
That's what they look like.
so these ones are thicker plastic. You can also do metal. And I have metal, but I don't like them because I can't see what's going on inside. And the way they push together doesn't make it perfectly round. Does that make sense? Because, I don't know. It just doesn't make it perfect. It makes it like this instead of perfectly round. So you can buy these, but it's also one of these costs as much as both of these sets. And they last a really long time. Eventually, these ones I've been using for I don't know how many years. I'm gonna bring them closer. They will eventually get a film. So I cannot get these clear anymore, no matter how much I wash. So these ones start out clear, and then they just get, because it's the citric acid and the baking soda, because they react together. Like I said, if you have nail polish on, you're gonna want gloves because it eats away the top layer of your nail polish. Same with the plastic.
Are the molds found in the soap section as well?
Yes, I found in the soap section as well. So you can still totally use these. There's nothing wrong with them. They just aren't as smooth and they aren't as pretty. So anything else that you want to know? Anything else that you want to learn? Questions from the gallery? Anything? Then maybe I will just finish these up. So here, do you want to tip it and I will.
What do you recommend, like storing them in the meantime before you use them?
Okay. I store them 3 different ways. Let me grab something. Okay. Should just have this in the room. So by my tub, I have one of those apothecary jars, and I just put the straight bath bombs once they're dried, pile them in the apothecary jar. They will last at least 6 months like that. But if you want them to last longer, these are just in a Ziploc bag, just so that moisture doesn't get to them. After a year, they are going to react less. If they get wet, you don't want it to get wet because it could sit and react in the bag and you don't even know it. Then you have a bath bomb and you put it in the tub and it does nothing. But it sinks like a rock, and we've had that happen. Should we? You guys want to see what one of these bath bombs does? Should we? Here, let me quickly finish these. I can bust these out real quick. More white. I almost never have an exact amount of powder because it's hard to figure that out. So at the end, if I have leftover powder, I'll just press it into the mold and have like a half bath bomb and let the kids have it. Ooh. Uh-oh. This is a problem. My mixture, I've been talking so long that my mixture is drying out and getting powdery again. So, easy way to fix it. Get that whisk back and add more liquid. And get it back to the right consistency. There we go. Now it's sticking again. So like I said, you can always add liquid. It's just really hard to take liquid away. See, there you go. Another teaspoon or so of water, and it's good. But I don't want it compressed before I put it in the mold. If you do find yourself with a clump, just squish up with your fingers before you put it in the mold. Put some white, some purple, some white, some purple. I'm not using my spoon. Oops. I'm gonna go put it in the sling. Do you guys want to see what it looks like when it is too wet and what it does in the mold when it is too wet? Anybody interested in that? Okay. So let me do one more good one. So when I get to the end, so when it gets tricky, you're just trying to make sure you scoop up more, pile it up. As I get to the end here, this is what I would probably turn into a half bath bomb if I don't have enough. Okay, bath bomb sling. Should you show the bath bomb sling?
Yes.
Here you go.
Maybe if I can get.
So there
we go.
Notice it's sinking a little bit. So it's squished down a little bit, but it's not all the way to the bottom. It's not touching the bottom of the muffin cup. So it keeps it round. Okay, now I'm going to put this stuff together and we're going to make it too wet. So I'm going to add more oil. I'm going to add more water. Okay, so I'll show you. This is what happens. Do you want to hold it above? Yep. This is what happens when you don't stir fast enough and stuff starts to explode a little bit. You see that? I don't know if you can see it bubbling just a little bit. So this is just lightly mixed. So this is too wet. And I guess you can't see it on the screen, but there are little eruptions already happening. So I'm going to scooch this together. See if I can turn this into a bath bomb. Do we have enough? Where's my spoon? So one thing that it will do if you have too much liquid is as it sits for a little while, it will get warty. That makes sense? It'll have little spots bubble up out of the bath bomb. Whoa. I can barely get it out of the mold because it wants to stick because it's so wet. Okay, let me see if I can hold this. I don't think you guys can see this, but it is slowly expanding. Okay, come over here. So see if I can show you right here. Can you see this? Right here is protruding outward. Like it is bubbling outward. It is not staying wet. It is bubbling right here. It's just slowly expanding and getting bigger because it's too wet right there. Look at that. So if it's too wet, it will be bumpy and you'll get these cracks like it's expanding.
Oh, you can see the cracks.
Yeah, can you see that? It's cracking there. And it's cracking there. Right here. Let me see if I can even get it out of the bottom. There we go. And if we let it sit, it stays squishy. So it stays squishy. These are not, these ones that are the proper moisture, it's already pretty solid and hard.
So
but
that's her problem.
That's her problem. It's too wet. It's too wet. Quick, Kim, quick, mix in some baking soda. So yes, that shows you it's too wet. It's not staying smooth. It's cracking and expanding, and it is moist. It should not be squishy. It should be hard. I'm going to set this back down. Because these ones that are done properly, once again, you can already tap in. It's already getting hard. Same with this guy. So this is the, oh, look at that fissure. Woo!
Ooh.
Yeah. Because it is bubbling and expanding and reacting inside of your bath bomb.
So could you just hurry and throw that one in the tub or no?
You could.
Okay.
If you were ready to.
Just drop everything and go jump in the tub.
But if it's this wet, let me see if I can show you how I would fix it. See if we can save it real quick. So to save it, I mean, not everybody has bulk bins of baking soda, but I do. Get a scoop of baking soda and quickly mix it in. And it still feels too wet, so I'm actually going to add more baking soda. So this is how you save bombs. But you have to be fast about it because you don't want it to react with too much of the citric acid so that the chemical reactions are done. This actually even feels still too wet. But I mean, I guess this technically gets you more bath bomb, right? Okay, so let's try it now. Still rather wet. And just FYI, for anybody wondering, Costco and Sam's Club, it's 15 pounds for like $7. That's where I get the baking soda. Because you would have to buy a whole bunch of the little baking ones to get enough. There we go. And now we have a happy, smooth, round bath bomb. And because I added enough baking soda, I have enough for another one. So once again, if your stuff is too wet, put more baking soda in as quickly as you can. Otherwise, it's just going to keep reacting, and then it's going to become a lost cause. And Kim, you had a helper? Yeah. My kids want to help all the time, and I almost always end up being like, thank you, no more helping. Olivia's really good at stirring in such a way that half of the bath bomb mixture spills out of the bowl and ends up on the counter or the floor or us. But they really do love to help. Okay, so tap, tap, tap. A happy, smooth, round bath bomb. I'm going to go put it in the sling. Okay, I'm going to show you something with this sling. Another thing to note when I put it in here. Do you see where the seam is? I put the seam in the middle. You don't want to put pressure on this middle seam while it is drying. So have it be straight up and down while it's drying. Otherwise, just the pressure of it sitting there can crack it open as it's drying. So straight up and down, pay attention to the seam. Yep. I am a mess. So then when we get to this last part, this will not fill up an entire mold. So I'll just scoop as much as I can into this circle and pat it down. This is when you can pat it down, Kim. This is when you can pat it down. The last little bits. And the little dregs left in the bowl are actually really satisfying to wash. Because there's going to be a little, it's almost impossible to get all of the powder out. There we go. So I'm going to press it. Use a spoon. So bonus bath bomb or half bomb. There you go. I'll put this flat. Ta-da! So thanks for making bath bombs with me. Do we have any questions? Anything anybody wants to know before I sign off and wash myself off? Because it is a mess. And if anybody has questions, feel free to text me, call me. I will be happy to answer questions. So anything else? Is that all? Okay. Thanks for joining us, you guys. Hopefully you have fun making these. Hopefully at least some of them turn out.
Wait, Emily would like to know, how long did it take you to assemble all the kits?
How about we don't talk about that? Okay. A long time. A number of days. And I reordered supplies multiple times because I was making the kits, and then we'd have a reminder, and then like 20 something more kits would be ordered, and I'd go, I'm out of citric acid. I had enough baking soda and cornstarch, but it's this stuff. I get this on Amazon. It's the cheapest place I found it. It's even cheaper than the like soap supply stores. This Millard citric acid, it's a 10-pound bag. And so, yeah. So if you guys want to know where I get ingredients, Costco and Sam's Club and Amazon. And sometimes Walmart. Oh, and if you want, let's take a look at this. It's been bubbling and bubbling and bubbling. So this is what is happening inside your bath bomb if you get it too wet. And it's kind of a fun, floofy foam.
Yeah.
But that's not what you want for your bath bomb. Anyway, thanks for joining. I'm going to sign off. And this is when I feel awkward. Bye, guys. Oh, it's not recognizing my finger. And